I call this workshop session to order. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for coming. So we review resolutions of the liquor license application and waiver for Five Loaves and Couple of Fishes Incorporated, DBA, the Mustard Seed. You have that. And then we have correspondence received from Mr. Jeffrey Barr from Fredonia Religious Society of France requesting use of Barker Commons and village streets. What is that noise?
It's the air coming over the air conditioner.
Okay, lower the lights. Lower the lights, it's going to be Halloween. Sure, yes.
I just have a question.
Not to me, obviously.
Dan.
Dan.
Question on the 30-day waiver request. Yes. This is a new request for liquor license? It's not a renewal, correct?
That's
It's not a renewal.
And is there a reason that we would be waiving that 30-day request for something that's not a renewal? I know we've done it for renewals. With the 30-day request, I don't know if it's...
30-day request it's a state requirement. The bottom line is, if we want to dispense with that, we can. It's not a problem.
Is there any background work that has to be done in order to ensure that this is, as part of the village, something that the village should be doing, is having to do with the police department or anything at all? Any background? No. So there is no reason that we can't do this. I just wanted to make sure, being the first time they're applying.
That's absolutely correct. The 30-day waiver is often given based on the fact that it's not in the best interest of the village to continue with that.
Okay.
Can I point out that the Mustard Seed in South Dayton has been serving beer and wine? So, and apparently this is a continuation of the South Dayton operation. It's transferring from South Dayton to Fredonia.
I'm not sure what their license says. Okay. Usually a liquor license is location specific.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, as long as you see no issue, okay, thank you.
Can I ask you a question about the march?
We've got
Number 2.
That's being supported by Jeffrey Barr. I'm concerned about the cold weather that is typical in Fredonia. And should we encourage marchers and police officers to work in very cold conditions, which are typical of Fredonia winters?
It's my understanding from reviewing the request, they're simply meeting at the gazebo and they're walking across the street to the Grange. They're not doing, all their speakers are at the Grange. They're indoors. I think they just want to have some symbolic march of sorts. It's not really far. They're just walking diagonally through the park and over to the Grange where the speakers are going to be talking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have the appointment of officials and employees as the first meeting of the year. And then we go to labor grievance procedure. Would you explain something? Okay, you want to explain anything about that? And finally, request from Festivals Fredonia for dates and use of village properties for the coming year. All right. Have the police department report for the month of December and the police department annual report.
I have some questions about the abbreviations in the police report.
Sure.
Okay. On page 2 of the December report, what's a MVAPD?
Motor vehicle accident, property damage only.
Property damage. Okay. I have some other
Sure.
abbreviations that are unclear to me. So in the annual report, okay, I see accident, non-auto property damage. CVSA computer voice stress.
That is basically a polygraph, but it's a voice stress analysis polygraph.
Okay.
We don't have anybody trained in it, but we utilize members of the Sheriff's Department and the State Police to administer it for us.
Okay, fine. Okay, and on page 3 of the annual report, MVAPI,
Personal injury.
personal injury. Okay, that's it.
Before we continue, can I step back a second?
Sure.
I want to talk about the Festivals Fredonia dates. I just happened to be reviewing the letter. I read it once before, but I just noticed during, about 3/4 down through the letter, it said the Festivals Fredonia, we want you to know that we greatly appreciate the village past support in the festival's events. We would like to request continued support in the amount of $1,000 to be used specifically for advertising and promotional costs associated with the 2019 festivals. I think they're requesting the board to see if we could do a donation to the festivals. So I thought maybe we'd open it up to the board and see if you guys would be interested in possibly coming up with a resolution to sponsor maybe $1,000 to help Festivals Fredonia.
But usually it's put on the budget. That's how we did it last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we give them money last year in
We-
the
we-
budget, wasn't it?
I think it was 500 last year, but that's how we put it there, put it in the budget, yes. It's going to be interesting today. Okay. All right, so then you have the committee appointments, and also I want to pass this around.
Thank you.
Please give one to Anne-Marie too. Anne-Marie.
Mayor, is there something that brought this to your attention to explain to us here?
Not some specifically. If you see, the committees are only the ones dictated by the charter. So I thought we'd take the charter and we just know where we are with every committee. That's all. Nothing specific, no.
I asked Attorney Guard about, in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, sir.
Where an agent lacks actual authority, he may nonetheless bind his principal.
Yes, sir.
Is that spelled correctly? Should it be P-R-A-N-C-I-P-L-E?
Hold on a second, I'm sorry.
So I'm not quite clear what that means, with that spelling.
I'm sorry. Dr. Burris, I'm sorry, what are you saying?
Is principal spelled correctly?
I hope so.
Okay. Can you explain what that sentence means then?
Whereas a agent lacks actual authority, that sentence, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. What that says is that that's a direct cut and paste from a Second Circuit case, which says that an agent may bind its principal even if you do not have the actual authority. If you appear to a contractor or an employee or whatever, or union, that you have actual authority, then you can bind the village without actually having it, which is problematic.
Okay. But I'm still not clear what a principal is in this
A
word.
principal would, in this context, would be the village of Fredonia.
Okay. Okay, that does make sense.
Thank you.
So what you're stating is to be very aware of that, is to not, to ensure that you're not personally
Yeah,
entering the contract
Jim, we
without the
had
board.
some, there are issues, especially in village government, where a board member or a committee member or what have you expresses to a contractor, or a union, an employee, that individual has authority when they really don't.
Okay,
That's the problem.
okay, that's good.
All right. And then we have the request from Larry Fiorella for advertising and promotional financial support from the village of Fredonia, which we just discussed. And then we have the leak detection services report. I forward you the report of the leaks that we got. As you saw, we have about 66 million gallons leaks every year, which is a very large number. Most of them are service, right? And some of them are mains. So the mains are our responsibility, the services are not. As I understand it, Tony, you're going to write some letters to the owners of the service lines that have problems.
We began assembling letters and corresponding photos to be sent with each letter to each prospective location, homeowner. I want to draft a cover letter tomorrow and review it with you and the city village attorney. And then today we did, we repaired one of the main leaks. We did do the main leak at 7 Burnett. We dug that this morning and we repaired that. It was believe it or not, a previous leak with a sleeve that was on there. It was leaking, so we reapplied this sleeve. So we took care of that, and there will be one of the property owners, I won't mention the addresses or names, but one of the more sizable service leaks has already reached out and hired a licensed plumber to take care of their issue tomorrow. Okay. And then we took care of another one of our own leaks on one of our hydrants. That was late last week we did that. So we're already trying to address our own, and then we're going to get the letter out to each of the prospective homeowners.
Is there any way, after we do all this work with other homeowners or ourselves, to, or any point, to go back and see if we still have leaks in the village system?
Well, you know, I mean, there again, you would probably have to retain these people to come back, which wasn't under their original scope.
No,
but I mean, I think it would be prudent for us to do at least leak detection like this maybe every other year. Again, depending on how we monitor our water loss, theoretical or real, you know, again, theoretically, you would think that after all of these issues are addressed, and again, the greater propensity of the issue is service leaks, you should see I think, a fairly significant decline in your theoretical loss. If that is or is not the case, if for some reason the loss is not decreased, then we have other issues to consider, other than leaks. Could be meters, could be inaccurate meter readings. I know the village has only partially upgraded their meters to the higher standard of radio read.
Are we upgrading every year, a number of them?
Yeah, we did. We've done, oh, I can't remember how many, but since I've been here, I know that Ron's replaced a fairly good number of them. You know, ideally, you could do the village-wide type of a deal where you did an RFP for different meter companies to come in and, similar to what Dunkirk did, and then do a village-wide sweep of industrial, large, commercial, suburban, you know, everybody to get a new accurate meter reading. But there again, that would be a more substantial cost up front. So the way it's currently been set in the budget was there were so many thousands of dollars a year allocated to meter replacement. So we're replacing old mechanical meters that are probably not accurate on a case-by-case basis when we have the opportunity.
Okay. Okay, very good. Any questions or any thoughts on that?
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to have it checked every couple of years, but I'm sure it'd be nice to kind of this time, because it's, you know, to find out where, you know, where we're going to stand once we get these fixed. You know, kind of go, you know, work the way through the list, get them all done, and then see where we stand. You know, of course, that doesn't mean other leaks can't happen that'll become undetected, but at least we'll know where we're going to stand once this is done. You know.
So my thought from the beginning was that this is going to give us somehow the places that we have not only leaks, but the system is or the lines are susceptible to breakage, but apparently not.
No, I think that, I mean, I was amazed too that there were more serious issues found. I'm relieved, obviously. But, you know, when you've got a company that came in and did a phenomenally professional job, in my opinion, and they tracked 67.5 miles of water mains and adjoining services, and they did it in 3 days and nights, and a very excellent report. You know, it would be something worthwhile, I think, to continue. But at this point, if you look at the total volume per day theoretical loss of 183,400, the service leaks accounted for roughly 125,000. So percentage-wise, that's substantial majority of the leaking. And
2/3 probably.
I guess my one question on that is, the service leaks are either at their shut-off or at the main where they've connected, but not past their meter. So how to get the people to, you know, make that repair? It's their responsibility, but I guess, how do we get that to happen?
well, with each letter, there will be copies. I've made copies of the pertinent code, village code, outlining the responsibilities and timeframes for remediation for homeowners to hopefully attend to it. I don't have that with me. I have to get the number.
But that will be attached. So okay. So
and that copies of those 2 pages, Anne Marie made them off. We found them. And I just thought it'd be a good idea to put a cover letter in, a picture and a wonderful description of each property,
right.
marked up by this company, showing where the leak is, and then another accompaniment would be the 2 pages of pertinent language from
Right.
code. And then as far as hate to use the word enforcement, but there's language in there
That states that they have to deal with that, according to the code, correct? Oh, good, thank you. That's what I need to know.
Did Leak Detection Services conduct a survey on Pleasant Avenue?
On Pleasant Avenue?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Nothing there.
Okay.
Everywhere, yeah.
The reason I asked was because I understand that is going to be replaced.
Yes.
Anyways, so what was the point of
My
conducting?
understanding of all the 6 streets that are being replaced was a concern for the discoloration of water to many residents in the project area,
Yeah,
and also the perception of severe tuberculation within the size of the water mains that are there, the old water mains.
yes,
So through the project, and my understanding of the purpose of the project was to address the discoloration issues for the residents in the area, to increase water flow / fire protection in those areas, to replace hydrants and hydrant valves that are quite dated, most of them, not all of them, but a good share of them. So you were basically, and then to do new services to those homes. And a lot of these services that are there are lead services, which are not allowed anymore or will be replaced by copper. So there's a multifaceted reasoning to the project that was first inspired by people having problems. And so you'll see benefits on several great levels.
right. But my question was, why was it necessary to conduct a leak detection on a pipeline that's going to be replaced anyways?
It was just within the scope of their work. When the mayor reached out to them, it was, find leaks. Now, for instance, to your point, Middlesex, which is being done.
Yes.
There was a repair done on one spot on Middlesex right after I got here.
Yeah.
And through this process, they rediscovered there's another leak within a few feet of that same main. The good news is, because we are replacing that section of pipe in the Middlesex section,
Yes.
that new issue was going to be addressed by the project. We don't have to go fix it. It's going to be all brand new pipe. And if there had been leaks on Pleasant, similar to the one I just described,
Yes.
at least they had pointed out where the problem area was, and then you would know that it is being addressed with the project.
Thank you.
I just have a question. There were residents at the end of Cottage near Pleasant who were having discolored water even when the other people on the other end of Cottage were not this weekend.
That was because they leaked when they were replacing when they were putting the new water pipe, they just nicked one of the old ones. And
people just were asking me why
Yeah,
when other people had clear water, theirs was still colored.
Right,
so.
when we had to shut a valve at Cottage and Pleasant to isolate, to shut down the water to the affected area where they were replacing a section of broken pipe.
Mm-hmm.
So when we did that, we were feeding water from the valves on Lambert to Cottage. So when we were feeding those people with a little different source of water or flow. It churned up some of the tuberculation in the pipe, so we went down and flushed the last hydrant for a couple of hours, and it cleared right up.
Okay, good. Thank you.
anything else? Okay. What I forgot to mention at the committee appointments is that I want to go back once more and re-examine the consolidation of the courts. And we were discussing it with Jimmy this afternoon, and he suggested that we have to have an audit anyways of the courts, correct? So, and that will be the first step, or at least to complement what we did last year, what Dr. Barris and his committee did last year. Just to make sure that we're not missing anything. I don't want to leave it. We started something last year, we haven't finished it. So just to make sure where we are. And also, I'm forming a committee with citizens exclusively, and it's going to be called the Pride of the Community. And the objectives would be to organize events that will highlight our community, to organize some contests, for example, Christmas lights, best garden, things like that, and to come up with ideas to promote the village. And as I said, this is going to be only citizens in that committee. I have contacted a few. I need more. I'll come back to let you know where we are. And then we go to the ambulance purchase. And if you want to explain.
The ambulance purchase? Yeah.
We talked about this morning.
Okay, the plans, the spec is ready to go, and but we have to decide, you have to decide, the board has to decide how we're going to pay for our share, which is approximately $90,000. It was proposed initially that it would be paid through a bond anticipation note. However, you do have the option of paying for your share. We have excessive fund balance in our capital funds, and we could pay for that out of the capital fund, or we've already purchased $80,000 for
cardiac monitors.
Yeah, so which was scheduled to be bonded, which we haven't bonded yet. We do have a bond authorization to do that. So we could pay for that. We could swap it. In other words, we would bond that. We were talking about not bonding that. So we could bond the $80,000 if the money is there. Okay, either way. If you choose not to bond it, you can pay for it out of again out of the capital fund, and or we can just bond the $80,000 for the other project, and then not bond the truck.
I prefer not to bond.
I wouldn't mind bonding the monitors, or I mean, not bonding the monitors, but bonding the vehicle. But also really wouldn't mind not bonding at all at this point, if we could get around it. I don't know how anybody else feels, but I mean, it's.
Well, I would prefer not to bond as well, but if we do, which one of the two gives the village more?
Doesn't really matter.
Okay.
One's 80,000, the other's 90.
I mean, more equity, I guess, is what,
Yeah.
which are we gonna get more equity out of? Neither.
If we don't bond it, then you can approve the purchase at the next meeting. If you bond it, this is for the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide that you want to bond it, we can bond it for 5 years.
Right.
But then you have to pass that resolution first. I mean, you can do it at the same meeting. I just need to know now. If your intent is to bond it, then I'll get the bond authorization ready for the next meeting.
Can I ask you something, just out of curiosity? How much does it cost to bond something?
Well, there are legal fees that run, depending on the size of the bond,
$90,000.
$1,500 to $2,000, $2,500. You know, and then you're paying
Interest.
Then there's an interest cost, which is probably, well, it's gone up a little bit. It's still not more than 3% of the bond. So.
Just out of
So
curiosity.
that's why. I mean, the point is, I think during our budget process, we need to take a closer look at what items maybe reach a benchmark in terms of the size of a project that. You know, let's say we take an example of, well, anything $80,000 and under, we're not going to bond. We're going to incorporate it in the budget. Anything over and above that, then we'll develop a debt plan for that.
Would the monitors be bonded for 5 years also, or would it be lesser time?
Pardon?
The monitors,
The list amount is, I think, 5 years.
the amount of time that you would monitor, you said for 90,000 for the.
Well, it would be
for the
up to
vehicle, it
5
would be
years,
5
it
years.
could be less.
It doesn't matter for either one?
No.
Okay,
Usually you get a 5-year bond anticipation note, but then you don't have to stick with that. I mean,
okay,
you could, the problem with the bond anticipation note is, not that it's a problem, but every year you renew it. It has to be renewed.
Right.
You get a new interest rate. But then you can decide whether you want to pay for that over 3 years or 5 years, if it's a 5-year BAN. You don't have to bond it for the term of the.
When we renew it, we pay again the $1,500, the legal fees, or no?
Yeah,
oh, you do?
You do every year?
yeah, well, it's a new resolution.
Hmm.
It's a renewal, but it's
Well, and that's a
Yeah.
sizable
I'm just-
cost.
yeah.
So
that's an approximate number,
And you feel comfortable that there is, the 90,000 is available? Or for both, we can pay both of these without? Or no?
Well, I'd like to take a closer look at that. I mean, I don't want to go to the other extreme right now. We've already got the bond anticipation note for the $80,000, so
Okay.
we've already incurred that initial
Okay, so-
cost.
With that, yeah, with that being said, I think
So,
I would rather.
I'd like to
pay-
leave that option open, so especially if you decide not to bond the ambulance, then I'll look at that and I'll make a report for you, so you can decide then whether you want to pay
Like you said then.
directly for that equipment or whether we bond it. I wouldn't do that without your authorization.
The bond's already in process, you're saying, correct? The bond process is
Yeah.
already started.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you're right, the bond process has already started for the monitors, go ahead with that, but for the ambulance, because we're already considering paying off some other anticipation bonds, with any fund balance, to eliminate some of that possibly in the new year here, maybe we should just go ahead and make the purchase.
We have
Why have another one, is what I'm saying.
We have 2 bond anticipation notes coming up, one in March and one in April.
Mhm.
So I intend either by the end of this month or shortly after to present you with a proposed bond schedule, because there are a couple of those notes that we could consider paying off rather
Right.
than renew them. I'd want to provide you need to be provided with the numbers and the impact would have, so.
Would that total fund balance be changing once the budgets are proposed from the mayor and us as trustees? Because we'll be utilizing fund balance to either balance the budget and so forth. So, I mean, right now, we have a kind of a guesstimate of like 3.6 million if you leave 20% in of a $10 million budget where we're at. But we don't know right now. I mean, you could talk about paying off smaller things right now, but we need to kind of look forward to larger projects that we're already should be in the process of doing, like with the water line replacements and work at the reservoir, putting amounts towards these projects from that would make sense. But I mean, we don't know the total exact amount until after the budget is proposed and how much fund balance is used to balance the budget, correct?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah. I can give you some preliminaries before we actually go through the final budget for the next year in terms of, examples to you of how you can utilize some of the excessive fund balance. You're probably going to want to do some type of a combination of paying off some of the debt service and then even consider putting some money into reserve fund for one of or the other capital projects that we're doing. They're large projects. So if we can, dedicate some of that fund balance towards those projects, it reduces the amount that we have to borrow on those projects, and it has an impact on future budgets.
Right.
But you need to see some examples and numbers so that you can make a decision on that.
Very good. So in order to have the resolution for next week, what do you think? What do you want to do with the ambulance? not next week, next meeting, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think we should make the purchase, and not bond it.
Well, let me get this straight though, you already said the monitors were paid for by local funds, and they weren't
No, the
bonded.
monitors have the
No,
the
but
bond.
they can be, they can still be bonded.
Oh, you can still use it?
Yeah, they can, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that was
Yeah.
already a done deal.
No.
Okay.
No, we had the bond authorization to purchase them.
But we just.
I just haven't exercised it because I'm waiting, actually, I was gonna wait till March to combine it with our other BANs that are coming due. So we don't have a whole number of BANs that are due at different times. Sometimes it gets difficult to track. We've got a few of them. So we can do that.
I mean, this one's already been
So right now,
approved.
we
When
were
you put
authorized-
money together, is this
Right.
like one combined fee, like legal fee, or it's still like 10?
It's each obligation that you incur, there are, individually, there's a charge.
Okay,
Okay, then we combine them, like this BAN that's coming up has probably four items in it.
okay,
Okay, so then there'll just be one
Okay.
bond resolution for those four, because we combined them,
so the resolution is one, but the expense is 4.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, okay. So Roger, what do you think?
I just go along with what the board wants. I mean, it all makes sense, what Jim has just spoke of. It needs to be a board's decision, so. I'm waiting to hear from the rest of the board before I make my
Well,
decision.
you heard from me, so I mean, I'll just assume not bonded.
You talk a little, no, but people don't hear.
You want me to make a recommendation?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, I recommend that you pay for the ambulance outright. And then, as we get closer to March, we'll look at whether we need to bond the monitors or not. And then I'll have a report for you for that decision, but we can do either or with that. But,
And there's approximately a 3 to 4 month delivery date from date of order on an ambulance, so it's not gonna be, it'll probably be in mid-April, May-ish when it's delivered.
I recommend going with the recommendation, and if things change at that time, I mean, at that time there, we'll be going over the budget, and if something changes, money-wise, we can decide.
well, once you make the decision
Now.
not to bond the ambulance, and you go ahead and put the offer in, then you really can't go back and bond it.
Go forward with local funds to purchase the ambulance.
You okay with local funds?
Yeah. Dr. Pierce?
That's fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's have the resolution for the
So we'll have a
purchase
resolution, right, for next.
for next meeting. Okay, very good. Thank you. And then we go to O'Brien and Gear Incorporated Amendment Number 2 to Professional Services Agreement in connection with water system improvements. We discussed this a little bit the last meeting. It's the inspection of the reservoir and the dam and all this to become part of this project. And we gave you the amendment. Is some extra money here, not much. It's about 25,000 more than before. And I will call tomorrow EFC to see if we can possibly get the money from them as part of this grant, so see if they say yes or no to that. But overall, it's a good idea. We agree to that, I think. I think.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Yes.
Yes, okay. Right, and then finally, the security services. We discussed it a few times. I think I would like to have a resolution at the next meeting, and that's why I just want you to decide finally, if you want to go forward with that, is $13,597, everything included. The fire hall, the DPW, and the village hall.
Yep,
gonna
I think
leave.
we should go through with it.
Dr. Barris?
Yes.
Mr. Bridge?
Yeah, I read it over, I'm fine with it.
Yes.
Mr. Russell? Okay, so let's have the resolution next, at the next meeting, then, possible, thank you. All right, and then for the open discussion, the only thing I want to mention is that I had an email from the New York State Conference of Mayors, and they have this contest, If I Were a Mayor, for 8th graders. I would like to forward it to you.
Sure.
And the deadline is March the 6th of 2019. They have 3 nice prizes for the kids, and they have some other recommendations. I think that's, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. All right, anybody else wants to talk about anything? Very good, thank you. I call this meeting to order. At the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 7th day of January 2019, and at 7:30 in the Trustees' Room, 2nd floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas members of this board present at this meeting have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of December 10th, 2018, and special meeting of December 17th, 2018. Now therefore be it resolved, this board approves the minutes as entered the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
I second that.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Essek?
Yes.
Trustee Bridge?
Yes.
Trustee Barris?
Aye.
Have the public portion.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand and state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes if speaking for themselves, or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board.
Anybody has anything to say and to address the board? So many young people, great.
We have some kind of questions.
Okay, but nobody has anything to say, obviously. So I close the public portion. For my report today, I just have to say a couple of very good things. First of all, the emergency water line replacement is on schedule. The weather has been cooperated up to a couple of hours ago, and we were hoping to finish that in a few weeks. I just want to say again that I know we removed some of the trees. They removed some of the trees on Lambert Street. That's because you have to have access to the right-of-way. The trees will be replaced after the project is done and completed. So I'm very happy about that. I wish we're done by now. We're not, but anyways, this is good news. The second thing, I plan to present to the people of the village and the board a State of Fredonia address on February the 6th at 6:30 at the Opera House. Just to give you a very small taste of what is going to be there, in the last 3 years, we brought to the village over $7 million to complete projects that cost over $15 million. That's 50% over our budget, our yearly budget. We did all that without raising taxes a single penny. So these and many other things are going to be presented on February the 6th. Everyone is invited, so I hope to see you all there. And currently we're working to see maybe we can offer some cookies at the end. So that's my report. Trustee Christina.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Linden.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Essek.
Yes, just one real quick thing. I was wondering if we could follow a meeting procedure regarding resolutions here that we really haven't. During the meeting, once a resolution has been proposed and seconded, each trustee shall be given an opportunity to publicly state their position regarding the proposed resolution. Once all the trustees in attendance have had the opportunity to be heard, a roll call vote will be conducted. So we'll have a motion and a second, and then it'll be up for discussion.
Of course.
Thank you.
Not discussion. You can have your, the discussion is part of the workshop. You can have a statement on.
State their position regarding the proposed resolution.
Yes, exactly. Yes, of
thank you.
course. Trustee Bridge.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Trustee Barris.
I have no comment.
Thank you very much. So we go to reports.
The first Fredonia Police Department report is for the month of December 2018. Incidents reported 654. Fredonia Central School calls for service 5. Accidents 23. Arrests reported 45. Vehicle and traffic 30. Fredonia Police Department annual report for 2018. Incidents reported 8,585. Fredonia Central School calls for service 27. Accidents 260. Arrests reported 647. Vehicle and traffic 439.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Correspondence was received from Five Loaves and a Couple of Fishes Incorporated, DBA, the Master Seed, notifying the village that they will be applying for their on-premise liquor license and requesting a waiver on the 30-day advance notice for property located at 31 East Main Street, Fredonia, New York. Correspondence was received from Fredonia Religious Society of Friends requesting the use of the gazebo and village sidewalks for the Women's March of Chautauqua County on January 19th, 2019.
Be it resolved that the request of Fredonia Religious Society of Friends is hereby approved to hold a Women's March of Chautauqua County on Saturday, January 19th, 2019, using Barker Common gazebo and village sidewalks, subject to the direction of the Fredonia Police Department.
I'll second the motion.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Bridge.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
And we'll go to resolutions.
Be it resolved that the following appointed officials and employees are hereby appointed or reappointed to their respective positions and at their present salaries and benefits or salary and benefits as modified by board resolution or budget adoption for the ensuing official year commencing January 7th, 2019 and ending January 6th, 2020, and until their successors are appointed and qualified unless sooner removed from office or employment as provided by the charter or other applicable law. Village Treasurer James M. Sedota, Village Clerk Anne Marie Johnson, Chief Inspection Officer, Building Inspector, Zoning Enforcement Officer Chuck LaBarbera, Parks and Recreation Director Thomas Battaglia, Receiver of Taxes Lori Richardson, Police Chief Bradley Myers, Streets Supervisor and Commissioner Anthony Gugino, Fire Chief Ryan Walker, Village Attorney Daniel Gard. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees further reserves all rights under the Charter and Section 75 of the Civil Service Law for removal or other disciplinary action for any past or future acts or conduct of employees or officers of the village which may fall within the purview of Section 75 of the Civil Service Law or the Charter.
I second the resolution.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Whereas the village collective bargaining agreements call for a review of grievances by the village administrator, and whereas the position of village administrator has been abolished, and whereas a review above the level of the supervisor is desirable and appropriate, therefore be it resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to review and respond to employment grievances following a review by the relevant supervisor.
I second that.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
First of all, I'd like to comment on this. I have some concerns on this resolution. I feel that this may be a transfer of power from the administrator to the mayor's position. So therefore, I vote no.
Trustee Briggs.
I also vote no.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Okay. Go forward.
Be it resolved that permission is hereby granted to the Festivals Fredonia Committee for the use of Barker Commons, various parking spaces, and village streets for the following festivals or events. Fredonia Italian Festival, Fredonia Italian Festival, June 29th, 2019. Fredonia History Days, July 12th and 13th, 2019. Red, White, and Blues, September 6th and 7th, 2019. Harvest Moon Cemetery Tour on October 18th and 19th, 2019. And Miracle on Main Street to be held on December 7th, 2019.
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
No.
Okay. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn if there's no further business.
I'll second the motion.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
Trustee Briggs.
Yes.
Trustee Barris.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Keep coming.